Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the All the Things podcast. If this is your very first episode, welcome to the club, and thank you for joining. We're truly so glad you're here. My name is Sofia Merlot, and you can think of me as your new internet best friend who is always down to talk about health, wellness, entrepreneurship, and of course, navigating life as a young adult because let me tell you, it is not easy. If you're wanting to know how to romanticize your life and add more joy, learn celebrity hair secrets for maintaining healthy, shiny hair, tangible ways to better balance your nutrition and optimize your health and blood sugar, or how to build a business from the ground up to having a client list that includes the one and only Sofia Richie, then stick around because those are all real episodes that you'll have to scroll back and check out. Before we get into the meat of this episode, we have to do our brand new segment, which ties so well because it was inspired by teaching fitness classes and having playlists for them. This is our three-peat playlist moment. So if you missed last week, this is a new segment every single episode, every single week. I'm going to suggest 3 songs that I've personally been loving. I also have a link to this playlist. Every week it grows. So eventually a year from now, we're going to have an amazing select group of songs that have taken us throughout a whole season. For now, very much in the summer mood. And I'm hoping that this becomes the soundtrack of my summer. But these are the songs that I've been loving for a very long time, but have been gravitating towards this week. So first one, I couldn't believe I didn't put any Chappell Roan in my playlist last week. I discovered her on TikTok from her Coachella set in April, and I think the entire world did. She has blown up. I know she had a loyal, almost like cult-like following before this, but within the last, 3 months? 2 months? 3 months? Yeah, 2 months. It's insane how her career has skyrocketed, and I am so happy for her. I think she's a little overwhelmed. She's being really honest about everything. I cannot get enough of her, so it was hard to pick one song, but I knew I needed her in this week's playlist. This week specifically, I have been listening to Pink Pony Club on repeat. I've been going through her entire album. What is it? Of a Midwest Princess? What is it? The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. I've been listening to that album on repeat truly, but have been definitely repeating Pink Pony Club a little bit extra. And then my next song, this is also a song that isn't new, but I've been gravitating towards. Another album really that I've been gravitating towards. I'm pulling it up on my phone for those looking at YouTube. I've been listening to a lot of Harry's House. This album, actually all 3 of his albums, I feel like happened at very pivotal points in my life. And I was already a Harry Styles fan, but I feel like I just loved him even more because now each album is tied to like core memories. For Harry's House, that came out when I was in New York for the very first time. Not that I've been back, but it was such an amazing trip. We also went to Toronto, which I hadn't been to for a long time. And I love Toronto as a city. And this album was the soundtrack to that trip. So every time I listen to it, I think of it. The song that I've been gravitating, again, listening to all of them, but have been listening to more, I would say, is Daylight. And something about that song, the best plane ride I ever had was when I was coming back from Toronto, like New York, Toronto, back to Vancouver. And it was the most peaceful flight. Getting there was not. My one flight got delayed. I thought I was going to miss it. You know that thing where you have your fucking water bottle because you're trying to stay hydrated because you get dehydrated in the plane and you're running around the airport, but then you get to security and there's nowhere to fucking dump out maybe this much water, but you also have to pee because you've been running around like a maniac trying not to miss your flight because everything got delayed. And then all of a sudden the people there are like, you need to chug this as if you are a 19-year-old at a frat party with a keg of beer. Like, you just need to chug this, open up your throat and go. And I could not. Like, I had to, but the water went all over me. Luckily, it was only a bit. This has happened to one of my best friends, and she literally had an entire water bottle. I'm so sorry, but iconic moment for her. But anyways, getting to this flight was stressful, but then once I got to my gate and everything was chilled, we ended up getting delayed further, which kind of worked out for me. I just had this sense of peace. I was so excited about where I was in my career. I had started a new job. I felt an in-between period where you're excited about work and you haven't become jaded yet with stress. Like, it's not anxious yet. It's just excited energy. I was right there. I was coming off the high of this trip, and it was the most gorgeous sunset above the clouds. And the women that I was seated next to were so lovely. One of them used to work for the airline. She had just retired. The other one was this sweet elder woman, and it was the three of us. I don't know, something about it was just incredibly peaceful. And I listened to this song a lot. I'm like, how did we get here? But whenever I listen to that song, specifically Daylight, I just go back to that place, and it's really peaceful for me. Okay, final song. It was hard not to pick Sabrina Carpenter again. She just scratches this place in my brain. Also, Sabrina, I'm going to see you, girl. I'm coming for you. I got the tickets secured. If anyone is going, please DM me. What are we wearing? What's the vibe? I need sparkles. I need everything. But anyways, another side tangent. Going back to this week's. Where is it? I made a note on my phone. Of course, The Spins by Mac Miller. Again, not a new song, but something that I've been listening to more than usual. I feel like it's always on rotation because I truly believe it's one of the best songs of all time. It's Summer in a Bottle. And that part of the end where he's, I just graduated high school, makes me sad and nostalgic and also happy because it has the most beautiful, youthful, joyous energy in it. But because it's officially summer, even though it doesn't feel like it right now in Vancouver, we have had a few sunny days and warm nights. That's my favorite thing in the entire world. And playing this song when you're a little bit tipsy, coming home, wind is blowing, you know, when you're like those like fun car rides, playing this song is the epitome of summer. So check those out on this week's three-peat playlist. It's the same playlist as last week, so if you're just tuning in, you're going to get all those 3 songs as well. You can build your summer playlist. Maybe I'm introducing you to new songs. I hope you enjoy. Let's get into all the different types of workouts, what I thought. So in total, within the last 14 months, I attended 33 classes across these studios. Some of these studios that I'm going to mention throughout this episode, I haven't been to within the last 6 months. So I'm not chatting about them, or I haven't been to more than 5 classes. And as someone who loves fitness, who's been a practitioner of different classes, and who also teaches them, I feel like you need, honestly, 10, unless you're really familiar with that form of movement already. But I feel like you need 5 at a studio to give it a good try, to try in a range of instructors, of class times, of class types, to actually get a feel if you're into it or not. So those were my things. I had to be there enough times, more than 5, to talk about it in some kind of depth. I had to also be there within the last 6 months. And then all the studios I'm talking about in depth, these are the number of classes, that's what I'm trying to say, within the last 13 months. So just pushing a year, this is how many times I went to them. So it hopefully shows their recent instructors. If you wanted to go to a class, this is hopefully the type of experience that you can expect. So we have a few different types of movement. In total, we have Pilates, both mat and reformer, yoga, a bunch of different practices. I'm not going to go into that, but yoga as a whole, HITT classes, we have community and berries. We also have, of course, spin. And then something that's really fun, and one of the exceptions I made, is EMS training. Now, EMS training is one of its own. I actually have a few episodes on this on my experience, and also the founder of the studio I went to Body Pulse here in Vancouver. They have 2 locations, one in West Van, one in Kitsilano, and I've only been there 6 times. And I have been dying to go back since I did my trial session during my 75 hard. It was the perfect time to try something new because I had to do 2 workouts a day, and I was always trying to keep it fresh and have a range of cardio, movement, like mobility and strength training. And honestly, what turned me on to EMS training was Stassi Schroeder. Why did I say it? Stassi. Wait, how do I say it? Stassi. I don't know why. Now, you know when you say a word too many times and it just sounds weird? That's where I'm at. Stassi Schroeder from Vanderpump Rules, of course, are our holy grail. If you haven't watched Vanderpump Rules, then honestly, I'm a little bit confused why you're listening to this podcast. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean so many people found me through a TikTok that I posted about Vanderpump Rules. And then they found out that this was a podcast. And anyways, and also I feel like I attract that type of audience. Like we have that in common, that we love trashy TV, and Vanderpump Rules reign supreme. Okay, enough tangents. Body Pulse training, EMS training. What is EMS? So if you missed those 2 episodes, it's basically, in my way of explaining it, these electric currents that go through. You have a whole suit on, they wet the fabric down, and then you have a specific type of fabric and then another suit on that connects to this machine. So you're getting these little pulses that stimulate your muscles. You work, I believe, up to 90 or 95% of your muscles versus in traditional workouts. I think we're using less than 20. I'm pulling this number from my ass. It's in the episode, but it's less than 20 or it's less than 10. It's significantly different than with these currents with EMS training. It's only 20 minutes. And I have never been, after my first session, I was never more sore in my life, but in the best way possible. Like I was so excited because I was working out so much. I felt really strong already, but I felt like I wasn't being challenged. And this challenged me. Oh my God. In terms of workout, I'm giving it 5 out of 5. I found it super challenging, but also, if you were brand new to fitness, they met you where you were at. It wasn't like you were doing these crazy movements. It was all very slow pace, if you had mobility issues, I think you could be able to get this aligned with what you're working with and the mobility in your body. But it was so effective. On price, I think I have to give it a 2 out of 5. And that's just because it is very expensive. If I could, I would literally only do what I teach in terms of fitness, walking outdoors, things like that. And then this, I loved it because it's so effective too. You don't need to do it more than 3 times a week so your muscles can properly recover. But it is around $80 a session. Of course, there are deals. If you buy more, it becomes cheaper per session. If you have a membership, you can get, I believe, an unlimited amount for a set rate. But for me right now and for my goals, it just doesn't fully align. So I'd love to do it every now and then as more of a reward. If I want to spend my money on an entertainment or a want, it will go towards that versus something else. But something for my weekly routine, I just don't think I can do right now as much as I really do love it. Going into Pilates. So how I section this off, I have 2 main studios. One, at least in Vancouver, focuses on mat. One is more, and I know I'm going to get hate. I know Legree isn't Pilates, okay? I know the Legree method is different than reformer Pilates, but for the sake of this video and for styles of movement, we're just going to put them together. Those are my 2 main ones. And then also I have a few that I've been to less than 5 classes that I want to touch on, but I'm not going to talk about in so much depth. Let's get through these 2 quickly. So one is Core Community and the other is The Well. Both of these studios, I want to take more classes at. I had a great experience, but it's on the schedule and the location that I haven't been to more. So for Core Community, I've just found it hard to get into their schedule that also aligns with my schedule and my teaching schedule. Not that they don't have a wide range of classes, just for my life, it doesn't work as well right now. And then The Well is technically located downtown. I just find it a bit further out to go, but I really enjoy my classes there. Melissa, the owner, is so lovely, and I want to go just to see her and her team more. They're extremely knowledgeable. They have a huge variety of mat and reformer Pilates. They also do, I'm going to forget the proper name, but trampoline training. They offer different types of classes. I forget what is it when it's like jumping and flushing out your system. I know if you're listening, you're probably screaming at me. Why can't I think of it? Lymphatic. I'm like, I've had this as a type of massage before, but it's good for your lymphatic system. And I don't know if anyone else in the city is doing that. So I definitely recommend though, but I just haven't been to more than 5 classes. So I feel like I can't give a super in-depth review. What I can give an in-depth review on is Legree West and Jaybird. And I know both of these studios have places or locations outside of Vancouver, so hopefully more of my listeners can attend. If you're in Victoria and Toronto, they have studios there, and they're also sister studios, so they work together. In Vancouver, Legree is the reformer version, and then Jaybird is the mat, and they also offer yoga classes, not just Pilates. But I haven't been to attend their yoga classes. I go to more their Pilates-based movement ones. Let's talk about Legree. This past year or past 13, 14 months, I've been to 131 classes. I love Legree. I found that I got strong in a different way. I was feeling really inflamed before coming to Legree, and I did a lot of weight training, and I just felt like my mobility was off. I was having some shoulder pain, some knee pain, and I was like, I'm really happy with where my strength's at. I want to maintain it, but the gym wasn't doing it for me. Like being in a dingy, dirty, sweaty, packed gym, I was like, I just need a beautiful space to calm my nervous system down and move in a different way. And that's what really made me go into Legree. Now, because there is a reformer, I don't know how accessible Legree is. I found that it's great longevity wise. This style of movement, you're doing a lot of core work, you're doing a lot of lengthening. The whole point is time under tension in these classes. But because it's on the reformer, I just don't know if it's accessible to everyone. Say if you have different types of mobility issues, if you'd be able to support yourself on that. But speaking from my experience, I have found it to be a nice way of movement for my body when it comes to strength and mobility. I have definitely noticed really positive changes, and I just feel strong after a class, and I get sore, but not in a way where I feel broken after. I also have found that it reminds me of good posture. I feel like it can just help you a lot more outside of the workout class itself than some of the other forms of movement. So love Legree. You always get a good burn. There's so many variations that I find when you get up and up and up and get stronger and stronger, then there's always a new variation. So you're constantly challenged. I will say one of the cons about this is I find there to be a big range depending on the instructors. They have so many amazing instructors. Some of my favorites are Haley, Dran, Mendy, Kiki. I feel like I'm forgetting so many names. Alex. There's so many great instructors. I'm forgetting like 5 at the top of my head. Travis. But there's just a big range in classes I found across the board. And because they have so many locations in the city as well, I'm sure that's part of it. So I recommend going to a bunch of different instructors and then finding one that you like the flow of their classes, their music. Music isn't a big part of the Legree method, but you will find, as every fitness instructor, they all have their own vibe, and that also just helps you be motivated during the workout. So in terms of workouts, I'm going to give Legree a 4 out of 5. The only reason why I'm not giving it a 5 out of 5 is I did eventually feel a little bit fatigued from it and had to take a break from a couple weeks. I think it's going to be across every single type of workout. You just need a break for a while. But in terms of mobility, strength, even cardio, you do get your heart rate up at certain times in class. And they offer a mixed class in their Kitsilano location. They have treads, so you can do a mix. This is so deadly. If you want a killer workout, go to Mega Cardio at Legree and you will get your ass handed to you in the best possible way. So you really have everything there. And it's the most effective I've found within the last year. I noticed the most changes when I started getting really consistent with Legree. In terms of accessibility, I'm also going to give this a 3 out of 5. Legree is still super expensive, not as expensive as EMS training, but for an unlimited membership, I think it's around $400 a month, which is crazy. But then they do have things like community classes. They have for a cause classes that are around $15, $20. And I find if you're on ClassPass, they go in spurts when it's really easy to get in classes and use credits instead. And then times when it's really hard and like impossible to get in. But keep your eyes open if you're on ClassPass. That would be the most cost-effective way to go to classes more consistently. Next up, let's talk about Jaybird. I really do love Jaybird. I haven't been going within the last 3 months as frequently as I was before. Again, just a scheduling thing. I find that I go there really seasonally because it is a dark, hot room. And in the winter and colder months, that's all I want to do. I want to go to a Jaybird class. I want to be warm the second I walk in when it's dark and cold and rainy outside. I just want to be cozy. They do have a good variety of classes. So if you want to go and breathe and do really slow movement, they have options for that. If you want to go and get a killer workout, get your heart rate up and sweat like a pig, they have options for that. Absolutely. So within the last year, I've been to 31 Jaybird classes. So quite a big difference from Legree. This is also part of Location in Vancouver. They just have the one in Toronto. They actually have 2 now. I believe Ossington and Yorkville. And I think Yorkville is the one with performers. Ariel Swan, the founder of Jaybird, was actually on the podcast. Was this a year ago? 2 years ago? Maybe a year ago. A year and a half. Anyways, go back in the archives. I think we did a revisited episode of that with Ariel as well. She is so lovely. She also is a teacher. So if you end up going to a Jaybird class, look for Ariel's. I highly recommend her classes if you're in Vancouver or Toronto. Keep an eye on the lookout for her. So let's get into a little bit more. My favorite classes, if you're like, I don't even know where to begin, I don't know what this class description means, Pilates and yoga is brand new for you, I would start out with the burn. That's my favorite, and that's similar to the style of yoga that I teach. The burn isn't yoga. My class is more adapted. We have more flows in it. We have more yoga movement in it, but we also have a lot of Pilates inspired and strength training movements in it. So maybe that's why I gravitate towards it, because I just really enjoy moving in that way. But I find the music to be upbeat, or a mix of upbeat and fun and songs. But I also discover a lot of really good music in Jaybird classes, more indie vibes, more chill, relaxing, things that you could study to, things that you can listen to while driving or doing yoga, that kind of vibe. One of the cons, though, is exactly one of the reasons why I love it, is because it is such a hot room. If you don't like hot yoga, I don't think you're going to love this either. I'm not sure of the exact temperature level, if it's the same as hot yoga or just in a hot, heated room. But that's careful, especially if you're not hydrating well. If it's already really hot outside, I would just caution you going in to make sure that you're prepared to move in a hot room. But sometimes that's exactly what I want and need in my life. Now, overall, I think I'm going to give, how do I want to rate this? I'm going to give Jaybird, a 3 out of 5 seems so low, but I'm rating this based on, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 as well, but for a different reason. I think that some of the classes they offer are really effective and really great workouts, but I know the point isn't always having the best workout with their classes. It's getting out of your mind into your body. That's their slogan. So some of the classes do exactly that. I would say focus more on the mental and physical aspects of wellness rather than fitness. So yeah, I'm going to give that a 4 or 5 because it is well-rounded, but really be in tune with what you're looking for out of a class. If you're needing to rest, recharge, get out of your mind, or if you're needing to get a really, really just good sweat and move your body. Really read the descriptions. The burn is great for that. The build, I think, is a nice balance between the two. Booty burn is, as said, a good booty burn. And then what do they call their yoga classes? It will be listed as breathwork or the bird. I think it's the bird is their yoga classes. So just read the description and what your body is moving. In terms of accessibility, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. It is cheaper than Legree if we're using that as our last one we chatted about. I think it's around $29 a class. So still expensive, but in terms of boutique fitness, that's the going rate. It's really hard to get anything under $30 in Vancouver or Canada. If you don't bring a mat, their mat rentals are $2. So across yoga studios, that's actually a really good cheap rental fee. It does add up if you don't bring a mat and you go really consistently. So keep that in mind. And then they also have multiple locations in Toronto. So I clearly don't live in that city, but I feel like that gives good options depending what neighborhood you're in. And then I find them, because they're right in the middle of Yaletown, to be quite accessible. I always found there to be good parking around there. I base so much on if I can find good parking. Let's get into HITT classes. And if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes for all these studios. So let's get into the first one, which is Community. I think this is one of the newer studios in Vancouver. I can't remember when their hard opening was. I want to say around March. It might have been sooner than that, but within the last 6 months, I believe Community has really opened to the public. Maybe it was February even. If you've never been before, it is so beautiful, so bougie, so futuristic, but the instructors are not stuck up at all. I've actually become friends with some of them. I was friends with some of them before joining this studio. It's such a great crew. The people that go to the classes, I love this. Like in the name says, out of all the studios I've talked about so far, definitely has the strongest sense of community. So if you're looking for that in your workout classes, looking to make easy friends, I would start with going to Community. I really do love it. What the actual workout is, they have a few different types. They have HITT, strength, and cardio classes. To be honest, I don't really know the difference between them. Obviously, it's in the name, but I find them all pretty similar, where you get your heart rate up. There's a little bit of cardio in it. You have a few cardio machines. The cardio one just has more, but you do get a good strength, more conditioning class. It's not like pumping iron. If you're lifting really, really heavy, you still will get a great workout, but I don't think it will be as much of a strength focused workout. If you've ever been to F45, I haven't, but I've heard lots about it. It's basically like a bougie F45. You have 15 different stations. There can be 2 people at each station. And then there's a TV on the wall, and there's multiple. Literally every station has its own TV showing you the movement that you're doing at that station. And then the instructor is going around making sure people are moving well, hyping you up, getting people going, saying what's next. You have a warm up, you have a halfway point and cool down. And what else can I say about Community? It's fun, it's challenging, it's humbling, but it's really fun to do with the group. That's one of the go-to places right now that me and my friends are meeting up when we have our weekend workout dates. And if you're looking to get into the gym and you don't know how, I would recommend it. The one thing I will say, and across the board with boutique fitness that focus on strength training, because there's so many people in class and just one instructor, if you're not comfortable or familiar with lifting weights, I would recommend doing a little bit of research or even having a couple personal training sessions just to make sure that you're moving correctly and safely, so that when you do go to other classes, you're not having bad form and putting yourself at risk for injury. They do a great job of going around and making sure people are moving safe, but they can't capture everything. So if you're really not moving well, also, things move quick. You're only at a station for a minute. So if it takes you 45 seconds to move correctly, then you only have 15 seconds left of the movement. So you're just not going to get as much out of that workout either. In terms of workout, I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. I feel really humbled going to classes, no matter how strong or like proud I'm feeling in terms of my workout. This will always be challenging. There's always things that you can add on to all the exercises to make it harder. And I do think it has a nice blend of movement styles where you're getting your heart rate up, you're challenging your cardiovascular health, you're doing strength, and you do have mobility within the session. Accessibility, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. And the reason being, one, within the workout, there's so much variety that if you do have an injury, if you do have things going on in your body, you'll be able to find an option more freely than one type of movement where for Pilates on a reformer example, everything's on this reformer. If that's inhibiting you, can't really do the class. With this, there's so many options and variations that you can really make it to your fitness level at the time. And this is expensive in terms of boutique fitness. I'd say this is actually one of the more affordable options. I don't have the prices at the top of my head just because I've been using ClassPass for this. And it's normally about 6 or 7 credits a class, which for Vancouver and these boutique prices, especially a place that offers weights and HITT style classes, this is a great deal. That's my rating. Love community. We love you, community. I've posted about them before. If you're ever looking for a hype girl, definitely hit me up. Our last one in the HITT section is Barry's. So Barry's is worldwide. I feel like everyone knows Barry's. Maybe not everyone's been to a Barry's class because I feel like it's such an intimidating place. So I'm going to spill all the tea right here for you if you've never been. I've been to a lot of classes, and I shouldn't say that because I do like it, but I feel like I need to be in the mental mood for Barry's. And then every time I go there, I'm like, oh, this isn't as bad as I was remembering it. I think because I get scared of the sprints, I can go up to 11 and a half. And after that, I'm like, I could go faster, but I'm always afraid I'm going to fall. I feel like there's more. Maybe it's because it's in a red room. There's like an element of danger in Barry's, at least for me, that I just don't gravitate towards it as much unless I have a friend being like, I'm going to go to this class. Do you want to come? And then, of course, I want to come. I give it a good college try, and I'll definitely go back and do more classes. I just don't find that it's something I gravitate towards. And I would say if you're feeling intimidated, you'll be able to do it. You're able to accustom things to your own liking. So if you don't know what it is, maybe I should explain it. You can pick to stay on the treadmills or on the weight section the entire class, but typically you spend half of the 50-minute class in the middle doing weights. Every single day, there's a different focus on body parts like upper body, lower body mix, and then the other half of class, you're on the treadmill doing a different set of sprints and jogs and walking. The walk is the break. You typically don't walk that long. You're normally either jogging, having a hard run, or sprinting. I'm a little bit scared of this sprints just because I'm scared of falling off the treadmill. And I just find it's a lot. Like I feel like my cortisol goes up in Barry's classes just because you're really pushing yourself. And it's great sprinkled in, but it's not something that I want as my main form of exercise. I just think for my stress levels, I need something that's a little bit more calming. Not that Barry's isn't great and fun, just for me and where I'm at with fitness and my goals right now. It's something that I like to supplement and do with friends versus being my main focus. This, like with community, if you're not comfortable with lifting weights, I would recommend doing a couple personal training sessions or getting more comfortable with compound movements before going to classes consistently just to get your monies out of it. Again, you have an instructor going around saying what you're going to be doing, but because there's two different things going on, there are great instructors at Barry's, but overall, when I compare classes in general, I don't find the instructors there as attentive just because they literally can't be. They're instructing half the class to do something completely different on the treadmills, trying to make sure everyone's good and set up there and motivating them. And then they also have half the class doing a completely different movement, everyone at a different fitness level, trying to accommodate for everyone, and then prep people to go into the next thing as well. If you're comfortable with movements, you're definitely going to get a lot out of these classes. You can do heavy weights, you're going to be motivated, you're going to have fun. But I recommend feeling really strong in your body in the sense of you know how you like to move. And then choose your own adventure. If you're not a runner, not a track star, You can always go at your own paces too and just go below what the instructor is saying. So know that for me, I get really competitive with myself. And this is part of why I say I need to be in the mental mood to go to Barry's, because I know I can go to an 11.5. That's my range right now that I can sprint out, but I don't feel like I'm going to face plant on the treadmill. But if I'm feeling a little lethargic, a little down, like whatever, I didn't sleep well, I don't want to go unless I'm going to hit that 11.5 or higher. So that's a me thing. That's not a Barry's thing. Let's get into the workout rating. I'm going to give Barry's, how do I want to rate it? Because it is a really, really good workout and you get a blend, but I just think it's really what you put into it. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 3. I find if you're already fit and you can push yourself to that limit, you're going to get an incredible workout. But if you're brand new to working out and you're a little bit lost, there's so much going on that I feel like you won't be able to maximize this workout. So 3 on that, and then I'm going to give it a 3 on accessibility as well. Barry's, like with all of them, this is going to be the most common theme here today, is that it's very expensive. There's only one in Vancouver, I believe. I'm giving it some points because it is worldwide, Mr. Worldwide. So you can literally go to a Barry's class in, I forget how many countries they're in, but they're all over the place. There's obviously in Vancouver and Toronto. And the one in Vancouver, honestly, the parking situation isn't it. If you live downtown or near Cole Harbor, then it's going to be great for walking, and it's in an actual very central place, especially if you have a 9-to-5 job. There's so many office buildings around that I could easily see you and a group of friends walking over and doing a class together. But they also film a lot on the street, and I find even if you go early in the morning, there's so many streets blocked off for parking, and that's also been a deterrent because I don't want to, especially early in the morning, I don't want to be driving around looking for a place to park. I want to park as close as I possibly can. I'm still have sleep, go right into the studio, and then wake up and do my workout. Last but not least as a category is spin. Of course, not to beat a dead horse, but here we are. Going into, I forgot about my less than 5 classes. We talked about HITT, and none of these classes really fit. The entire list of studios that I've been to less than 5 classes within the last year is Core Community and The Well, which we talked about, Pilates style, Oxygen, which is a mix of yoga, Pilates. I think they have some HITT classes as well. I only went to one class there with friends. I enjoyed it. I know they have a lot of different locations across the city, but I think there's also, what I've heard, this hasn't been my experience, is that there's a lot of variation across instructors too, just having so many different classes and locations. DivFit, which is spin, Daniela, I feel like she's so iconic in the Vancouver community. Lots of fun, lots of high energy. If you love to be entertained, if you love to sing, if you like to feel like you're in a music video when you're working out, I feel like that is the place for you. And then House Concepts. House is literally the most beautiful gym I've ever been to. They have a range of strength training, boxing, yoga, Pilates. I've only been to their yoga and Pilates, like booty burn style classes. I've been dying to go to some of their more strength-based and boxing classes. For me, it's not the closest. It's not that it's far, but it's just a little bit less convenient than some other options, and that's part of why I haven't gone there as much. I think within the last 3 to 6 months is when they really got on ClassPass too, so that's a great way for myself and you listening to try different studios. Before, I think they were just having one type of class, and now they've listed pretty much everything on ClassPass, so that also helps with cost because it is quite expensive. So going back to spin, our main categories. So of course, I'm going to talk a little bit about YVR Cycle. If you're in Calgary or Edmonton, you still have the opportunity to go to this amazing place that I wish I could still call home. I went to within the last year, and this is without me teaching, okay? So add on probably like another 75 to 100 classes, but I went to 104 classes within the last year. Because we can't go in Vancouver, I feel like I can't say much about it, but to me, that's like the gold standard of spin. And of course, I'm extremely biased when I say that, but I Absolutely loved it. Loved the instructors. 10 out of 5, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 across the board. Loved. Next up is Spin Society. Spin Society is going to be my new home, which I am so grateful for. I'm in their training right now. The team is lovely. I've been slowly introducing myself and letting people know that I'm in training to be on the schedule, hopefully so soon. I can't wait to see everyone back in class. A little about Spin Society. It's different than YVR Cycle, I'd say, across all the studios, including Ride. This is more strength focused when it comes to spin. The goal is to feel like you're going up and down a mountain, like you're going on a real ride and taking you on different terrain and giving you a good variety of things. But if you've been to YVR Cycle, I feel like it's also similar. We don't have the crazy lights here. We do have lights, but it's a little bit more chill. You can get into your body. You can really be focused on the workout and still be hyped up all in one place. So I've been to 18 classes there so far. They're also on ClassPass. I find that they are really affordable in terms of their offering, and ClassPass, they often have deals. If you are subscribed to their newsletter and you're looking for something, that's where you're going to find it. So keep an eye out for that. And that's all I have to say right now. I'm sure I'll have more once I'm on the schedule and can let you guys know of exciting things. But if you're looking for a spin place, that's obviously where I'm going to recommend. Maybe we can go together. I'm still trying to get to all of the instructors' classes so I can meet the whole team. And then the last place I have is Ride. So Ride is actually where I fell in love with spin. When I first moved to Vancouver, I started going to Ride, and I think I had a different account because I was adding everything up within the last year or so and adding up those classes. But it said in total for Ride that I've only been to 33, and I feel like I've been to like over 100 classes there. But anyways, Ride is super fun. If you like going fast, if you like choreography, if you like just like feeling like you're really, really free on the bike, if that makes sense, feeling free on a bike that literally stays in the same place, this is where I'd recommend Ride. They do have quicker tempo. You're out of the saddle a lot. So if you're an experienced rider, if that's your type of preferred movement, that's what I would recommend. This year, I've been to 33 classes. That is my most in-depth analysis that I can give you on fitness classes in Vancouver. They do have some of these options elsewhere in Canada and for some instances across the globe. I want to know what your favorite style of movement is right now. And regardless, I have some final closing thoughts. One is, if you're intimidated, the best thing that I would suggest is removing yourself from the scenario. So what I mean by that is when you go into a place, whether it's a gym, a run club, a boutique fitness studio, whatever it is, trying a new sport, just know that the only person who's judging you and putting pressure on you is yourself. Literally, no one else in that room, in that class, is literally caring what you do except the instructor, because they want to make sure that you're safe and enjoying yourself. No one else cares what you look like, how you're doing, what level of intensity you're working out, and they don't even know. So go to places that light you up, that make you excited to move, and that make you feel confident within your body. And I know that's easy to say, but it's really the truth. The next tip I have is go with a friend. I know for me, even, I'm so much more accountable if I know I'm meeting someone at that class. I'm like, I can't cancel because I'm going to let this person down. Not only am I going to let myself down and be out like $20 for a late cancel fee, but I'm going to let my friend down. That's the real motivation for me. The best form of exercise, though, is truly the one that works for you. You can go to all of these different classes, but at the end of the day, if it's not what's working for you, you're not going to be consistent and you're not going to notice changes in your health or your physical appearance or reach whatever goal you have around fitness. Honestly, all these places are fairly expensive too. If you have access to a small room, if you have a set of bands and a few dumbbells, you can get a killer workout in literally any space. So whatever works for you, whatever your goals are at the moment. I hope that this provides some insight to you to add to your tool belt, to try new places, especially with this warm weather out. I feel like it's really fun to go for a walk, grab coffee, do a workout class with your friends. So maybe this inspires new weekend plans with your group. If you have thoughts, if you have places that you love or that you've had a crazy experience at, let me know in the DMs. And I think that's all for this episode. I feel like I just rambled on for an hour about fitness, but that's what we love here. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching. If you tuned in on YouTube, one of our goals this year was to be really consistent with YouTube videos, and we are ramping this up. This is only the beginning for 2024. I hinted on some exciting things, but we're back. This is the new era of all the things, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.